Hi everyone, this is George Khut here. I'm going to take you through the process of setting up a Phidgets RFID reader with Max and using that to play some sounds. So let's learn a little bit about Phidgets. Phidgets is a Canadian company that is based. So Phidgets is a company in Canada that sells USB interfaces for making interactive projects. This is their website here, phidgets.com. If you're going to be installing this on your computer, first you need to go to the support section and look at the operating systems and download the operating system appropriate to the computer you're working on. If I follow this link here to the Mac operating system, we've got installers for operating system 10.11 and higher, download from there, and there's support for older operating systems as well. There's also, of course, Windows support. Let's have a look here. 32-bit and 64-bit. I recommend you go for the 64 at this stage. So, assuming you've installed that and gone through the processes there, I'll put some other links up to that. The next thing we need to do is make sure that we've got the Phidgets library. So if we go into the section of languages here, we need to look for the Max MSP language. So, quick downloads, you want to download the Phidget library Max MSP down there, and then put that in your downloads folder. And then we're going to open it up, and we're going to drop that whole folder inside our Max documents folder. So if I go to my home folder, it's my home folder, and we look inside documents, I've got a folder called Max 8, you'll call it Max on your computer, and inside the library here, open up that there, and I'm just going to paste the whole library in there. So we can see we've got the Max folder there, and it's got a folder called Phidgets 22 Max MSP, and inside that examples and externals. Externals are the actual objects that we call up in Max, and the examples are help files that show you how to work with them. Now, the main ones we're concerned about in this tutorial are the RFID, Phidget RFID, and I'll make another tutorial to look at with the spatial sensor. So if we just open this up here, this shows us the Phidgets device. Now remember, in Max you need to tell all these objects what to do with messages. So this is just loaded up and it hasn't been told what to do at all yet. First thing I need to do is obviously connect up my Phidgets device. So this is the RFID reader here. I'm going to plug the USB into here. Now, what you need to do is actually quit Max and make sure that the Phidgets is plugged into your computer before you launch it. Now when we launch Max, and I go get the serial device number, yeah, so I had to turn the antenna on there and then press start. So let's just move some of these things down a bit so we can see a bit clearer what's happening here. So important to follow all the information that's coming through in from the object. So these are the messages that go in that tell it to turn the antenna on and then to start reporting the tag information. And then what comes out of here, let's just put this all into a big message box here, stretch it out. All these route objects and unpack are basically unpacking the message that comes out of the Phidgets object. We can see the raw message as it comes out here. So let's look at this here. There's 1, 2, 3. It's a 3-part message. It's a list. We can call that a list of 3 words. So the first word is either tag or tag lost. The second word in the list is the RFID tag. And the third word in the list is the protocol, the RFID protocol that's being used. So what we're doing here is then unpacking the first element of the list, and it's tag lost or tag. And then the third element of the list, we don't really need to use that right now. So I'm going to suggest we just, let's copy all of this, close the patch, make a new patch, paste this in. Now remember, every time you do that, make sure you've closed the other instance, because only one RFID reader can be used at a time unless you specify unique serial numbers for each one. So if I go serial number here, that's the serial number. We're not going to bother with that right now. Let's save that for another tutorial. But I do need to, again, turn the antenna on to start the reading. So now we can see the tags on, the tags off. Okay, so we'll need to change a few things inside based on this help patch. First thing I'm going to do is save this into my library. I'm going to call it Phidget Play Sounds Demo. And let's put the date in here, 2019-03-25. And I saved that to the wrong place. Let's put it back in the right place. You need to put it in the library. So this is a shortcut to the library I put in. That's inside Home, Documents, Max, Library. Put it in there. Great. So what we want to be doing is using the tags to trigger sounds. And then we want to use when the tag is off or the tag is on, tag or tag lost, to control the volume of the sound. So we can start to modify this help patch. I'm going to start taking some of these things away. That's really important. And what first thing we can do is use the select object, tag lost, because that's the message that's coming in here when we take them out. So the select object will send bangs when it receives the word tag lost, and another bang for tag. So let's see how that works. I'm going to take that off there. And just so we can see what's happening here, we can put that into there, the right inlet of the message box, just to see what the message is. So tag lost and tag. So now put a B bang for button, and then put another B for button. Now I'm going to take the tag off. It's tag lost and tag on. So let's make some send and receive objects now, a new object, send tag on, send tag off. Okay. Next up, we have another message, and this is the tag. Put that there. So when I put the tag on, and then I take the tag off, interestingly, you'll see that if we want to just see when things are being sent, if I put the tag on, we can see the tag ID comes through again. I take it off, it's also triggered. So if we're going to be using the tags to trigger sounds, we don't want those sounds to be re-triggered every time we take the tag off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this here and then put this into here like that. So that means we set the tag and then we trigger it. So if I go like that, and then I'm going to go send tag ID, that will go in there. And now let's test this. Receive tag ID. Put that on. That's great. Put another tag on. That's great. And then again, just to confirm that we're not getting double bangs, triggers, triggers. Excellent. Okay, so next thing we need to do is build some select objects that will send bangs that we'll use to play different songs based on the tags. So we need to recognize what all our tags are. So this is the reader, and these are the tags here. When I put this on here, we've got that tag there. Take it away, and that's another tag. So I need to copy those different tag IDs and then put them into a select object. So that's what I'll do now. So I'm just going to drag off there, holding down the Option key, and take the tag off, put another tag down, drag that off there, put another one here, yep, and one more here. Great. Okay, so now I make a select object, select, and now I need to paste each of these ones in here. Select that, and then you can put a space after it, and paste that one in there. Don't need those anymore, they've been put into the select object. Now, I'm going to put this into there, like so. And put this down the bottom here. Just nudge everything up a bit so we can see what's going on. Now, let's put some buttons. So it's B for button, or we can go up to here, drag it down from there. Just B on your keyboard is a bit easier. Now, remember when you put your mouse over these outlets, you can see what it does. So bang, if it matches the tag that's called 520563418. And then the last outlet is input if it doesn't match anything else. Okay. Line those up. So now when I take my tag off and I put this one on, put that one on, that one on, and that one. So we've got buttons that are being triggered by specific tags. So let's tidy that up a little bit. Match that over here. Okay, let's save. Now let's go to the stage where we start to trigger sounds. So let's say we use the playlist sounds here, and we've got let's pull in some sounds. These are from my library, but there's also some built-in sounds here. So I know we've got Cherokee's a sound everyone's got. Now, I need to unlock the patcher before I drag those in. So, Cherokee. Put that down here. Touch it up a bit. So this is the sound file player, and we can put many different sounds in here. So let's start layering the sounds up. What if I go Anton, drag that into here now. If I put that there, it'll layer over the top, and if I want to replace that sample, I hold it in the middle, and we see the red line all around it. That means I'm going to replace it. This means I'm going to insert it below, and that means I'm going to insert it above. Great. And let's put in 5 sounds. So we've got rain stick. Let's throw that in the middle. Uh,
对不起，我能跟你说几句话吗？对不起，我能跟你说几句话吗？
Just trying to find some sounds that you'll have in your library as well, part of the Max default library. Primitive loop. Okay. And one more. Drum loop. Oops. Try that one more time. That's it. So let's remember what we need to do with the playlist object. You trigger different songs within the playlist by calling up the name of the clip. So if that's clip number 1 at the top, that's clip number 2, and that's clip number 3. If I press 2, it'll start playing it. You need to have the sound on in order to hear it. Check what's happening with our sound here. There's our sound. Okay, so 2, then I'll do 1. That's playing clip number 1. Now there's a few other things here. If you want to send a loop, we need to send a message loop and then the target layer. So we're going to loop layer 2 and then $1, which substitutes 0 or 1 to turn it on or off. Remember, if we want to see what's coming out of here, it's 2, 1, 0, 0 and 1. So it's a way of constructing a message by swapping the $1 for whatever comes in. So we're using that to turn the looping on and off. So let's close that now. You want to see where you need to send some messages to turn the looping on for all of those objects. So there's a nice trick you can do here by putting commas inside the message object. So I go loop, layer 1, looping on, loop, layer 2, looping on, loop, layer 3, looping on, loop, 4, looping on, loop, 5, on. Now all the looping's on all 4, which is cool. So if we want that to happen automatically, let's start putting some load bangs in. So as soon as our patch loads up again, it will trigger that message there. Now, this would be useful to put up the top here as well. So I'm going to simplify some of these things here that we're not using at the moment. The important messages that we need to get here is to turn the antenna on and then to start. So we can go new object, load bang, and then we need to do a delay. Delay 200. So the first thing we do is turn the antenna on, and then 200 milliseconds after we've turned it on, put that up here, we turn the antenna on and then we start reading it. And if you want to just test the load bang, double click it like that. Double click it like that. So now if I save and close, and if I open recent again, we'll see it's automatically turned itself on and it's recording when tags are on and off. And we can see there. Great. Okay, so now we want to use these tags to play sounds. So I need to convert these bangs into messages that will turn the different layers on. So remember, those messages are just simple integers relating to the track layer. So message 1, put that there, and there, and there. That's just holding down the option key. And call that 2, 3, 4, 5. That, 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 and that. Hold down the shift key and connect these other ones up here. Okay. Now, in order to hear these sounds, remember we have to put a speaker up to it. So what I'm going to show you is good practice is to put a little gain controller between the output of the playlist object and the speaker output to the speakers. So new object, asterisk, tilde, space, and then the default argument, which is 0. So this is how we change the volume, the amplitude of the sounds coming out. This is in stereo, so we do 2, just like that. And Then I'm going to put a float object up here that's going to control the volume. So 0 is 0% of the sound gets through. And if I was to put 0.5, only 50% of the sound, like the level of the sound will get through. And 100 would mean all of the volume goes through. So I'll show you what that means in a second. So now we just need to put the audio easy DAC there. That goes into the left, and that goes into the right. Adjust that to 1. So now great. So those loops are going to be playing over and over and over again at this stage. We could change that if we didn't want them to loop by sending loop 0 messages there. For the moment, let's just leave the looping on. The other thing we could do is change these to $1s. So that will turn all the looping on or off. Let's not worry about that for the moment though. The main thing is that we're going to turn the volume on and off here when the tags are removed or placed down. So I'm going to copy those tag on off there and paste them down here and call these receive the on off information. Yeah, and we're going to use these to trigger the message 0 and 1. So when the tag is on, the sound will go up. And then when the tag is off, it'll go off. This sets the number in there. So let's test that. Take the tag off and the sound's away. Put it back on. It's back up. So that's a bit abrupt. So let's see if we can smooth it out so it's not so snappy. So what we can do here is delete those. And we use an object called line, which is very handy in Max. And we tell it to work with floating point values, so using line 0. And then we feed a message into line. That's a message, and it says take whatever number comes in, $1, and then take 250 milliseconds to get there. So when this goes in here, what we're now creating a message that looks like this. So off, on. Now if I exaggerate this and I say 5,000, that's going to be 5,000 seconds. Yeah. So let's see what that looks like when we go into the line object. Put a float underneath here. So now it's taking 5 seconds to get to 1 from wherever it was. And now it'll take 5 seconds to get from 1 to 0. Just by getting this message, the number, and then how long to get there. So let's put that into here and then change that back to just 250. Just a nice smooth transition. So now when I put my tag in here, hear the sound, and take it away. Great, that's working. So there you have it. That is playing sounds using the Phidgets RFID reader.